Okay, good morning, everybody. We'll call the meeting to order. It's good to see everybody. So if you would please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Reese, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Ross,
Here.
Councilmember Citro, Commissioner Myers, Commissioner Owen,
Here.
Charles Klug.
Here.
We do have an in-person quorum and nobody is on virtually today.
Very good, thank you. And Commissioner Myers did ask me to read this into the record regarding her absence this morning. She said, please ensure information regarding my absence is read into the minutes of the Policy Committee meeting. I will not be available to attend the Wednesday, April 12th Policy Committee meeting due to another commitment. So we do have a quorum. We do not have any remote participation, I believe. Okay, very good. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of March 8th?
So moved. Second.
Very good. Any discussion or corrections to the minutes? If not, all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No nays. The minutes are adopted. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? We do not. Okay, very good. So we have a few status reports. I believe the first one is a status report of the Transportation Improvement Plan prioritization requests. And I think Johnny Wong is going to explain that to us. Good morning.
Yes, I am going to present that. Thank you. Gail, are the presentations queued up? I don't see them on the screen. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Johnny Wong, TPO staff, and you're right, I am here to give an update on the TIP prioritization criteria, a primer, if you will, and explain the hows and whys of the structure of the TIP prioritization list. Cheryl, whenever you're ready, first slide, please. To better contextualize what the TIP is, I want to talk about two required plans that the TPO must produce. The TIP is a plan that has 5 years worth of transportation projects in it. These 5 years are the first 5 years of our long-range plan, which covers a longer time span. The LRTP, if you will, is the 20-year vision. Sometimes that goes out to 25 years. Because the TIP is only 5 years as opposed to that 20 to 25-year horizon, the projects listed in it can be described in a lot more detail than the long-range plan, which is intentionally left broad in general to allow for details to come forward in the future. Next slide, please. I like to think of the TIP as a plan that's composed of 3 project lists. These are organized into 3 tables. Table 1 listed on the left is existing priorities that are funded for construction. These have already been identified as priorities, meaning that they address an urgent community need, and they are programmed for construction sometime within the next 5 years. Moving to the right, table 2. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of the TIP. The priority list of projects identify projects that are seeking funding for a specific phase identified in the table. Often they will come with specific details about the project, limits, what purpose it serves, estimated cost, estimated or request for funding a certain phase. And then table 3 is all others. Table 3 is kind of a mishmash of plans from our local governments and our partners. It includes the FDOT work program as well as the local government capital improvements programs. Only the work program is required to be in the TIP, only DOT's work program that is. And it's important to note that while we include the CIPs from the local governments, the TPO doesn't have any discretion over what projects fall into those programs. Next slide, please. Within that table 2, it's a ranked list of projects based on what we believe the positive impacts of each project will be. As projects move off of the priority list and are funded, new ones are added, so it kind of functions like a revolving door of projects. Each year when we meet with our local government partners, typically January, February timeline, they identify new transportation needs based on feedback they're getting from their constituents, people living in their community. So when we have that meeting, our partners tell us about a project that they're proposing, why it's important, what the beginning and end points are of it, what phase they're requesting funding for, and the estimated cost of that phase. And based on what information they provide to us, our staff determines if it meets a maintenance need, resilience, safety, congestion or reliability, mobility, or capacity, and then we place it in the most appropriate category based on what information we receive. Once we place it into one of those categories, we then collect and analyze performance data and follow an adopted methodology to calculate the benefits and rank the project among other competitive projects in each respective category. Next slide, please. So I've talked a lot about those 5 categories. They are state of good repair and resilience. That's the little icon on the left in red. Vision Zero is orange. Smart cities in purple. Real choices when not driving in blue. And major projects to facilitate economic growth in green. The categories that are shown on the screen and that I've been talking about were created to match national goals identified in legislation, and they correspond to Transportation Authorization Bill that was first passed back in 2012. It's since been reauthorized, and in that time period, the goals have changed very little, save from a few additions, and we've brought those before you in the past. When we look at the 5 categories and try to program funds for our priorities, we go in order from left to right based on feedback from a large public survey that was conducted for the 2040 Long Range Transportation Plan. Next slide, please. Now, understand that many of us can't remember back to 2014 when that survey was conducted, so I'll give you a little brief summary. We calculated performance for all of the measures, all of the categories that were shown on that screen. So we estimated what the performance benefit would be of certain investments in pavement, bridge, transit performance, traffic congestion, crash rates, and some other things. We then showed that information to the public and explained how performance would change if they chose to invest more or less money in each of those categories. And then after communicating that information, we held some statistically valid phone surveys, which showed that the community's top priority was fixing potholes in bridges, followed by reducing crashes on corridors and at intersections, and then providing bus service, and then last, investing in rail transit. Those results were then confirmed by a follow-up electronic survey that had thousands of responses all across the county. The only difference in that electronic survey was that it also showed that with whatever funding is left over, that it be invested near dense employment centers to facilitate economic growth. Next slide, please. These next 2 slides kind of show you how it worked in practice. So this is a screenshot of the electronic survey. We showed people the investment options and what they can expect at a low, medium, or high level of performance. Using system maintenance as an example, the public was showed that if they were to invest on the low end, meaning existing spending, we would be able to repave roads every 50 years on average. Buses would be replaced every 26 years. If we bump that spending up a notch to the medium level, then roads would be repaved every 25 years and buses replaced every 16 years. And if we kick that spending up quite a bit to the high level, roads would be repaved every 17 years and buses replaced every 10. And so when we take all of the feedback that we got, all of the survey responses, and then weight them out, next slide, it shows that in order of priority, system preservation was first, followed by reducing crashes and improving vulnerability. Third, minimizing traffic on the network. And then fourth, mobility options, investing in bike paths, trails, sidewalks, transit performance. Next slide, please. So with that guidance that we received from the community, we have operationalized the national goals and the community preferences into the TIP by coming up with the methodologies that we use to rank those projects every year. The goal for us is to program funds for low-cost projects so that we can fund more of them and accelerate completion to move the needle faster. Next slide, please. All of these slides have been included in your packet, so for brevity's sake, I'm not going to go through all of them or go into too much detail, but I'm happy to answer any technical questions that you have at the end. Next slide, please. And I think there's maybe one more slide after that, Cheryl. All right, so the process. We ultimately end up here, where we have a local government project that we know will address a known issue in the community, and it just needs funds programmed to move forward. The TPO adds value to this process by identifying some potential funding sources for each project and working with the local governments to submit applications and advocate for funding. This is also part of the process in which our relationships can add a lot of value because as Justin Hall from FDOT will show in a few minutes, funding a project from planning to PD&E or PD&E to construction is a very complicated symphony of identifying funds that are available from a number of sources, different agencies, each with their own rules and each with their own timelines and deadlines. So it gets very complicated. Some of the funding sources that the TPO tracks really closely are listed on the right side of this slide. And we, of course, have very little control over some of these sources, especially the district funds and the competitive grants. But the ones that we do have discretion over are listed on the next slide. Next slide, please. Some of the funding sources which the TPO has discretion over are SU funds, surface transportation block grants, transportation alternatives, TRIP, Transportation Regional Incentive Program, and CARU, aka Carbon Reduction Funds. If you look at the pie chart listed on this slide, you'll see that TPO has discretion of approximately 14 million in SU funds, that's Surface Transportation Block Grant, 3 million in TA, 3 million in CARU, and funds are allocated to projects based on TIP prioritization. If you add in another $5 million in TRIP funds, which are allocated to the district and then awarded to projects, that totals out to between $20 to $25 million every year, and that changes slightly. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I would say in reality, the amount of money that the TPO can program every year is about $20 to $25 million. At times when we program funds to deliver a project, there are cost overruns and overages. If there is a funding gap, our relationship with DOT and the structure of the priority list allows them to have flexibility to fill that gap, especially if the project is both a TPO and an FDOT priority. So to justify that in the FDOT work program, it's really critical for our priority list to be clear, data-driven, and transparent. Next slide, please. This is a bit of an old slide. We use this for the 2045 Long-Range Transportation Plan, showing the proportion of transportation funds broken out by each agency. Surtax dollars were included, so of course this information is now outdated and inaccurate, but it's still able to convey my point. With the TPO controlling less than 2% of the total funds, it's really important for us to leverage our relationships with all the local governments so that we can pool our funds to deliver projects. The TPO alone doesn't have the revenue to deliver major projects, but we add value by moving low-cost, high-impact projects through the pipeline. We also do this by collaborating with local governments and assisting on those grant applications. Next slide, please. And I know you can't see any of this, but based on the smattering of words on this screen, you can see that we're very successful in doing this, how we leverage our relationships and work to pool funds. Just in the last 2 years, we've helped deliver all of these projects. Next slide, please. So I want to thank you for your time to allowing me to provide this information to you. To summarize, the TIP is an important tool for conveying our community's most urgent needs. It should be treated as a technical document, and that technical methodology that we use measures the expected impact of each priority project. Low-cost, high-impact projects are more likely to be programmed with funds controlled by the TPO. And finally, its structure gives FDOT the flexibility to contribute funds to our shared priorities. Next slide, please. I'm prepared to answer any questions about the TIP. Once that discussion wraps up, I'd like to introduce representatives that we've invited from each of our local governments to talk about their new priorities that they're hoping to add to the TIP for this year's funding cycle. So happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Johnny. And if we could have the record reflect that Councilmember Citro joined the meeting at 8:45.
If I may, thank you very much,
morning.
Mr. Chair and board members. There's this new thing out there that I haven't seen in a while called rain, and it affected my driving. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you. So for the public who's watching, we typically get this TIP update as a kind of a refresher on an annual basis as we enter into the process of updating the TIP in June. So that's what we've experienced here. So are there any questions for Johnny about the process, Commissioner?
That priority list, when was that determined, and how often do we vote on that as a board, TPO board, if that priority list changed? I'll be honest, and I know everyone knows how I feel about that priority list. You know, what's last on that list, I represent most of the unincorporated part of Hillsborough County, and what's last on that list is overwhelmingly number one to what I think the majority of the folks in Hillsborough County. So I'm just curious how that process works. Do we get a chance to change that priority list, or if you could elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Commissioner. So there are approximately 100 projects on the TIP, and most of those will return in subsequent years because they're still seeking funding. Every year, I would say we make it down to maybe a dozen, 15 projects. In years where we've been very successful winning grants, we might move about 20 projects off the list, and so that would leave about 80. The TIP is mostly consistent. Each year we do update it with the local government's new priorities. And so, like I said, it's kind of a revolving door. While the document should primarily be treated as a technical document, at the end of the day, it is the board's decision which projects to move forward and how they're ranked. So a couple years back, there was a trail project down in South County that got bumped up the list because although our methodology didn't reflect it, the commissioners and the board members agreed that there was enough of a community, the community really valued the project beyond what our analysis showed, and so that was moved up. Heart CSX study is another really good example. We don't have a way of assessing the benefits of a study because it hasn't been fully fleshed out into a project yet, but that was elevated up to a pretty high ranking on the major projects list. So there's always the opportunity for board members to advocate for a specific project, and if the rest of the board members agree, it can get bumped up.
Well, that priority list, though, impacts when we're applying for grants and certain things, that priority list matters, correct? Yeah. I guess when I look at it, I see things that are important, smart cities, and, compared to fixing and repairing our roads, I just can't imagine if we did a sample right now of Hillsborough County that people would put smart cities ahead of that. So I know the county commissioners, we submitted correspondence to you all with a new, or to us, I should say, with that new priority list. And I know I saw JP walk in here. I drive him crazy with roads and infrastructure. But that's all. I was just curious on how that process works. If we, as a TPO board, because there are new board members, will have an opportunity to vote on a new priority list, I think that would make a lot of sense. So that's my only comments. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think Executive Director would like to comment on that also.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you brought this up because we're going to start talking this morning at the board meeting about kicking off the long-range transportation plan update. And that, as Johnny mentioned, that's the sort of the big picture of what's important to this community and what should we be focusing our resources on. And so we will be updating that over the next year and a half, and doing a lot of public engagement for that. That's the place where this board can really put their fingerprints on what is strategic, what we should be investing in. And that long-range transportation plan, once it's adopted in October of 2024, that then sets the framework for the priority list that's in the TIP. So that then when we're coordinating with the local governments each year about what projects they'd like to advance, they get measured against that yardstick, that new yardstick that's in the long-range transportation plan.
Very good. Mr.
Yes.
Klug?
And I have a related question. I think you may have partially answered it, Dr. Wong, as far as at what point can you not change the tip? Is it too late, that point of no return, when there's a project on there that we can take it off, or we could take it off? Where's that point?
I don't believe that there's any point at which the details of a project can't be negotiated. We have a very close working relationship with FDOT and all of the implementing agencies. And so if there's a project on the tip that we feel may not necessarily address a community's need by the time it's ready to move toward design and construction, I think that the opportunity to make adjustments still exists. As far as pulling it off of the priority list, I'm going to defer to Cameron because there's been too much discussion about that over the years, and I'm not sure that we've actually resolved that yet.
So that is subject to interpretation. There's no clear guidance from courts or administrative agencies. I know there's been disagreement, as I believe the department seems to think that anything that gets put on the tip has to stay on the tip, but I don't read it that way. The answer in the statute is once they start to expend, once they've expended dollars for preliminary engineering, then a project's locked into the tip. But remember, the TIP's a 5-year plan, so if you have something in year 5 that's coming down the pike and you haven't spent anything in the first 4 years, you can still defer that, you can remove it. It's once it gets into the current year for preliminary engineering, that's when it becomes an issue.
So just to clarify, the PED&E, that's the really point of no return, I guess. So once you start spending money on design.
Well, and that's the challenging part is the statute doesn't use PD&E as a term. It just says design phase of preliminary engineering. And as I've stated, that's not a legal term, so it's not something that courts have ruled on or even that I as an attorney can say, here's what this means, because it's not defined in the statute. It really is a professional term of art from the engineering side, and so we have to rely on really professional staff to advise us as to when it's reached that stage. But there are some pretty clear lines, which is if it's not having money spent on it now and it hasn't in previous years had money spent for preliminary engineering, it can still be removed or deferred in the tip.
Any other questions for Johnny? So I would just mention to my colleagues who maybe haven't been through this as much, it's very important to really go through the tip before the June meeting. It's long and it's laborious, it's not exciting reading, and you go through page after page after page on the spreadsheet, but it's worth the time because it's built by human beings and we're all fallible. And I have personally experienced, I don't remember his last year or the year before, where one of our priority projects was inadvertently placed on the wrong table. And prior to the vote of the board, we recognized that and requested, made a motion for the board to place that project back in its proper position on the tip, which the board thankfully did. But it could have easily slipped through and been approved on the tip and actually fallen in ranking just due to a clerical mistake. So it's very important to go through the tip carefully. So if there are no questions, Johnny, what's next? What do you have planned for us now?
So to inform that review process for all of you, I've invited representatives from each of our local governments to talk about their proposed projects to be added to the tip list. I'd like to first invite Brian McCarthy from Temple Terrace, followed by Frank Kofenhauer from Plant City. I believe he's going to log in virtually. Alex Henry from the city of Tampa, John Patrick from Hillsborough County, and rounding it out will be Jesus Peraza Garcia from Hart. So I'll turn it over to them now. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. McCarthy.
Good morning, Mayor Ross.
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So again, I'm Brian McCarthy from the city of Temple Terrace, and we've submitted 8 projects for the TPO's consideration, with the majority of the focus on complete streets and multimodal improvements. Our number one priority has been Bullard Parkway, Temple Terrace Highway complete streets. The TPO staff did a feasibility study for us on this county road a few years ago, and we've been working with county public works staff in implementing some of the different concepts. We have a meeting with them later this month to discuss some of those alternative design options. Of the 8 projects for consideration, 3 of them are brand new to our list. 2 of them are traffic signals or intersection improvements for safer crossings across 56th Street. And the last new project is a bridge over the Tampa Bypass Canal. We've noticed an increase in requests for utility as-builts in this area. It's basically east of I-75, south of Fletcher, north of Fowler. It's very, there's a lot of vacant land out there. However, we think that the development has been restricted due to the access to the area. A lot of it is limited access right away, with the last option being a bridge across the Tampa Bypass Canal. And with that, if you have any questions, again, I'll be available at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy.
Frank, this is Johnny. Are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
All right, great. I'll turn it over to you.
See if I can, there we go. Good morning, commissioners. I apologize in advance if I break out in a cough. I'm getting over a serious sinus infection, so please pardon the time. Our top priority this year is phase 1 of the canal connector trail. This is a 1.75 mile mixed use path that extends from south of downtown to north of downtown. It connects a number of neighborhoods and commercial centers, and it's something that's been in the works for several years. The Planning Commission has done some preliminary studies on it, and we believe it's time for this first phase to happen. The trail will follow existing road right-of-ways and canal right-of-ways. We really expect it to be heavily used as both a recreational path and to connect neighborhoods. You know, children can get to different neighborhoods and parks as well as people get to Midtown and downtown shopping. That's our top priority right now. We've got the next 2 priorities are complete street projects along not Alexander, but Collins Street and James Redmond Parkway. That's a continuation of projects we've already started at the Midtown area, and the Planning Commission had studied in years past, and we're looking to complete that phase. Part of it is a city project on city roads, and then we're also looking to extend the complete street, a study south of Alexander Street on State Road 39. There's a lot of development going on out that way, and we'd like to get a good plan in place so that as the development happens, it doesn't conflict with what we'd like to see that area be a good multi-use pedestrian area. Other projects, we've got a couple of intersection projects that are joint between the city and the county, but on city and county roads, but DOT has been heading them up. And then the last one is a major project, and I'd say it's only last because of the cost is rather significant and it's going to take some time, but widening of State Road 92 from Maryland Avenue east to the county line, the Polk County line. There's some right-of-way acquisition, and they've done some preliminary studies, but design is on the order of $5 million, and right now the right-of-way costs, I believe, are unknown. So those are our priorities. Happy to address any later or in detail if you like. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much, sir, and we all hope that you're feeling better soon.
Thank you.
Alex Henry from the City of Tampa.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. So I'm going to be highlighting a few projects that we either added to the priority this year or existing projects which we changed the scope of a little bit based on some feedback we got from TPO staff to make them more competitive in this process. So the first project I'll highlight is our Bermuda Boulevard Seawall Reconstruction and Complete Streets Network project. So this project is in the Palmetto Beach neighborhood of Tampa. It was determined through some of our sustainability and resiliency studies to be an area that's particularly vulnerable to severe storm events with flooding and things like that. So we developed a project to reconstruct the seawall along Bermuda Boulevard on McKay Bay. And as part of that, also use that as an opportunity to make some complete streets improvements, installing a trail along the east side of the roadway. So this was actually a project that we submitted for a federal RAISE grant, so it was important as part of that process to make sure that we were demonstrating that we're going through the process of reflecting it within the TPO's priority and tip. And as part of that application, we also included some other complete streets improvements within the Palmetto Beach neighborhood along 22nd Street and 26th Street, which we also requested for inclusion in the priority list and as part of that RAISE grant submission. The second project I'll highlight is a Vision Zero project along McDill Avenue from Kennedy Boulevard to Main Street. So this is a corridor that's on the TPO's high injury network. It was highlighted in their speed management action plan. So a lot of great overlap with some of the TPO's planning efforts to date. And it also fills a really important gap for the city of Tampa. We have a water project south of Kennedy that we're looking to make some complete streets and Vision Zero improvements with. And we received funding as part of our Safe Streets for All grant north of this section to do the same thing. So this will allow us to have a continuous safe facility along McDill, which has been highlighted in several of our safety action plans. The third project I'll highlight is our Grace Street Bicycle Boulevard project. So this is an existing project that is on the priority list that we kind of scaled back our scope of based on some feedback from TPO staff. So when completed, this will provide a really great connection, bicycle connection from West Shore District all the way over to downtown and tie into our existing green spine cycle track. A lot of this work we determined we can do in-house at the city through some pretty simple and cost-effective signing and striping improvements, but where we really are requesting funding is to address some of those major intersection crossings of McDill, of Lois, and things like that. So we scaled back our application to be reflective of those crossings and traffic calming near some of those major intersections. The next project is 30th Street from Yukon to Fowler up in the USF area. So again, another project that has been on the priority list, but the cost was a little high to be competitive as part of this process. So we scaled back to really focus on some of the key safety countermeasures that we can do to address some of the issues we have out there, intersection improvements, pedestrian crosswalks, things like that. And then the last project that we've adjusted a little bit, the cycle, is our downtown signal replacement program. Many, if not most, of our signals here in downtown Tampa are past their useful life and are susceptible to storm events, so they need to be replaced. So we submitted funding for the first phase of that, which includes 2 priority signals along Ashley Drive at Zack Street and Twig Street. So the project would replace those signals with new mast arms, as well as make some AD upgrades and safety improvements as well. So that's what we had this year. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is John Patrick with Hillsborough County. I almost missed this meeting this morning. I was running late, and guess what roadway I was stuck in? Lithia Pinecrest. And Commissioner knows all about it. So ask me personally, what's the most important road in Hillsborough County? It's the Lithia Pinecrest for me. Board members, I thank you for your time. I know this is a very important first step in procuring funding for all the projects that we need. Like Johnny mentioned, the amount of funding that comes through the TPO and the DOT is very limited. It's about $15 million, as he had mentioned. But what has changed really in the last couple of years is the IIJA, infrastructure funding from the federal government. It has really changed the way we look at projects, and our ability to get those funding has vastly changed. So it becomes all the more important for us to prioritize the projects we believe are important to the jurisdictions, and the amount of money available at the federal government is very, very high. For example, we are providing you a list of projects this year, about 23 projects. 20 of them are from previous years. 3 of them are new projects that we are adding. One is Lithia Pinecrest. Van Dyke Road, and smart mobility or smart city project, smart traffic network, which basically is enhancing the system of signals so that we can prioritize the traffic better, synchronize them better. So those are the 3 projects that we are adding. One of the challenges that we have, and the commissioner had mentioned, is the prioritization of projects, some of the projects that we have in unincorporated Hillsborough County. We are currently working with DOT on going after funding, IIJA funding for Gibsonton and I-75. It's priority number 81 and 82. It kind of looks different when you go for prioritizing projects and asking for IIJA, that this is one of the most important projects in the county, in the area, and saying that it's priority number 82. But we have overcome those challenges, saying that it is the way we prioritize. We try to prioritize small projects first so that we can have the funding for them. So those are some of the challenges that we are facing, but we definitely appreciate your support in prioritizing projects for the county, and we have received some big chunks of money, like $19.7 million in safety funding last year. We have funding for I-75 and Big Bend Road, which we received from the TRIP money. I think that's somebody calling you regarding Boulevard.
Stuck in
And the
traffic.
stuck in traffic.
Stuck in
there.
traffic on Lithia
Yes,
Pinecrest.
yes.
yeah.
Lithia Pinecrest, perhaps, yes. I think we should make that available for everybody. Call if you're stuck in traffic. So we have had success in going after money and bringing in big chunks of money for Hillsborough County. And we appreciate your help in prioritizing these projects. And thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Johnny, anything?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mayor Ross, committee, Ms. Alden. Thank you for having us. My name is Jesus, HART staff, and I wanted to walk you through some of HART's top priorities. Oh, great, thank you. Or thank you. So next slide, please. So it's more or less what is already known. What we do is half vehicles on asphalt, and the other half is facilities. So that's the focus of this. I'm oversimplifying it, but that's more or less. And then we have, we need vehicles to be safe and reliable for our operators and the public, and not only the riding public, but the driving public, because we get lawsuits because the bus broke down and they were late to work because of it. We have facilities to maintain the buses and facilities to interact, how the public interact with the system, because there's, we don't want to drop off people on a ditch on the side of a state highway, so that's where the capital improvements part comes in. Next slide, please. The heavy maintenance facility, it's been talked about for a while. It's constructing a new facility. Our facility is almost 50 years old. That's almost twice my age. There is also the campus. It's needs to be revamped. It's flood prone in the southeast corner, the low-lying areas. It needs better capacity for our mechanics to safely maintain vehicles and be able to do all the work that needs to be done there. It's a big project for us. It's $100 million. That's like 10% of the second Howard Franklin Bridge. So the big picture is not that big, but for us it's big. We are chipping away slowly but surely with the help with our partners like the TPO and city, county, among others. And once the project kicks off, it should be like a 5-year timeline. Next slide, please. For vehicle replacement, so it's just like your regular vehicle that you take for oil change, and like after X amount of miles, you like really, it cannot go anymore. We have the same on this end. We have two types of vehicles that interact with passengers and the vehicles that are like the support vehicles. Those are the ones we call non-revenue or NRVs. Those numbers are very fluid. Like 2 days ago, the replacement for 2028 was 16 buses. Now it's 18 because over the last year, we had the same amount of money to replace X buses, but then buses, inflation went up. So with that same money, we got to buy 2 buses less than we were supposed to. So those numbers are fluid and they change. Next slide, please. I wanted to spend some time talking about NRVs because I know that's not very intuitive, but those are vehicles that any of us can get at a dealership. We just slap a hard logo on them, and we use them for our day-to-day operations. So like the maintenance truck, like the State Farm Road Ranger, we have our own that takes care of our buses. We have our supervisors that scope detours, respond to incidents. They sweep routes if there are passengers left behind because the bus broke down. We need vehicles to do that. We have relief vehicles if a driver ends their shift at USF, instead of like driving the big bus back and the next driver taking the other bus out, we just have a relief vehicle that goes. They swap keys, and then the driver goes back to the yard to clock out. And this vehicle is like any vehicle that we could use, like regular people like you and me. It's like between $25,000 and $120,000. The more expensive one is the maintenance truck, not just the truck itself. It's just like an F-350, but all the toys attached to it so that it can do its job. Next slide, please. Bus stop capital improvements. This is a bit more intuitive. It's ADA improvements, shelters from the elements. I know that price tag looks huge, similar to the heavy maintenance facility. We're chipping away at it. Next slide, please. The $85 million is composed by 3 elements. So the 2 critical ones are the top 2, the blue arrow, which is almost $20 million in ADA improvements. We have stops that are over 30, 40 years old. So they were not made ADA accessible when they were first built. That's around 400 stops. And then we have 650 shelters that are past their useful life. So we're looking to replace those, and that's about 11 million. So of the 85, 30 is the more critical one. The remaining 50-something is more for like technology and things of the sort. Next slide, please. I'm gonna fly through this couple because it's just like to give you a general idea. That's just like a shelter and all the different things it could have when the project, like the full $85 million is implemented. Next slide, please. This is just for context. So this all the way out in Dover Road and State Road 60, Strawberry Ridge. That's a ditch on the side of a state highway. And to make it ADA accessible, it was almost 200 grand. And no, we did not pay prime rates. We paid competitive rates. And then the next slide, please. That's also a ditch next to a state highway, but instead of bridging it, we went around it. So it was 90 grand instead of 200. Next slide, please. The last project is midlife overhaul. So if we cannot go for the major surgery, which is replacing the vehicle, we do a Band-Aid, which is replacing engine, transmission, and other things that allow us to extend the useful life. Next slide, please. And if you're gonna take anything from all the babbling that just happened, I would like you to take away this slide. Even the smallest amount helps, like as small as $25,000 to replace a relief vehicle, or $700,000 to $800,000 to replace a bus, $125,000 to overhaul a bus, or $100,000 to redo one bus stop. Like we know the request looks huge, but even the smallest amount can help. So thank you. I'm available for questions, and there's my contact info. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you. Johnny, anything else, or does that conclude this portion of the?
That concludes it for this month. We're going to be bringing the draft tip to the committees beginning next month, and then we're gearing up for the June public hearing. So you'll be hearing a lot more TIP in the next couple months.
Very good.
But
Thank
that's all
you.
for today.
Good. Colleagues, any questions now that we've heard the presentations? Commissioner?
Yeah, JP, could I have you up front real quick? And I guess I just want to make everyone aware, you know, I took kind of a bold initiative at our last county commissioner meeting to direct staff to start beginning the process and conversation with an interchange between Manatee County and South County, and then also a crosstown extension off Big Bend Road. As most people know, as you found out this morning, East and South County, we're just choked, and we've got to create. So I know that these studies are just in the process. How does that work with a time frame on, you know, how soon do you think we'll get that back? I know this is really a county commission question, but I think it's important for, I guess what I'm asking is, would that possibly be able to get on a priority list for this year, or are issues like that going to be 89, 90 down the road? Could you just elaborate a little bit on that?
So let's take the first one, the Crosstown Expressway extension down to Big Bend Road. That was analyzed as part of the 2045 needs assessment plan. It was, if I'm not mistaken, performing really high. It was in the top 10 corridors that was performing well. So that's, we know is performing well, and we have to talk to TIA on what studies they have already in the hopper. It does need a lot of studies, like the PD&E study has to start, the design have to start. And so I don't think we can ask for prioritizing this on this round of TIP, but I think it will be one of those projects in the long-range transportation plan that would be making into the cost feasible if it comes out to be that way. So that's the first one. So obviously, right now, we cannot ask for a TIP prioritization. But then the other one, the new interchange between Manatee and Hillsborough County, that's going to be a little longer range. Again, that could be prioritized as part of the long-range transportation plan. If the board unanimously approve that moving forward, we can bring that to the long-range transportation plan priority as a project that we want to consider. But it will not be appropriate for this round of TIP.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions? Ms. Alden?
If I could add one more thing, Commissioner, you mentioned that the way our priority list is structured right now, with some of the, quick fix, smaller cost projects up at the top, then major projects like the ones that you've been advocating for, wind up with priority ranking numbers like 81. And so I wanted to just highlight that there is one more tool available to us to draw attention to those major projects. And that is that there is a list of major regionally, a very short list of major regionally significant projects that is adopted by not only this TPO, but all of our neighboring MPOs as the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance priority list. Councilman Citro is laughing here because he went through this process this past winter. But there is that opportunity to highlight this as regionally significant, working with all of our partners. That was a path that we took with the I-75 Big Bend Road interchange that ultimately was successful, in getting both discretionary funding and funding from Tallahassee. Right now, the I-75 Gibsonton Drive interchange is on that priority list. And so it's one that, it's a project that we've been drawing to the attention of our state legislators as being, very significant to this area. So that's something else to be thinking about as we are updating our priority lists. Which ones do you want to bring to the full alliance and highlight in that way?
Thank you. Anything else before we move on? Okay, I believe we're getting a presentation from DOT. Justin Hall, welcome. Good morning.
I was joking, I haven't given a presentation in a while, so I kind of shake the rust off a little bit for this one. So is Cheryl going to bring my slides up, or? All right, perfect. So before I dive in, just two quick things. One on the priority list conversation, I think DOT, actually, we agree a lot more with Cameron and TPO Legal on the phase where we cross the point of no return. And I think DOT is committed to now just holding the position that once we complete the PD&E, the LDCA, that's kind of where we cross that point. So even if we do design in advance, we're doing that at risk as the DOT. So this presentation's a good timing as you lead into the TIP process. So I just want to talk a little bit about the project development pipeline, how DOT comes up with projects, and how we collaborate with the TPO and with your agencies. So next slide. So our budget, we call it a work program. So I know everyone refers to your budgets. Everyone's got a different term. I don't know why we can't just all say budget. But anyway, we call it a work program. And so it starts with an idea. You know, these ideas may come from DOT planning staff. It may come from, you know, safety improvements or concerns that have been identified by a local agency. Some come from our planning organizations like yourself, and some just from the local cities, counties, and different organizations. Next slide. So with that, then we review the projects. We look feasibility. Can we build it environmentally, fiscally? Is it constructible? And does it really actually benefit safety if it's recommended? Next slide. And so from there, we prepare an estimate, you know, design, right-of-way, construction, and then start to look at funding options. One thing, and I know Beth's heard this from me before, I always say, bring me the project, don't tell me how to fund it, just bring me the project and let me figure out how to fund it. Because we have about 250 different fund types. So we have a whole team that's all they do, is they just look at the different fund types and what the options are. So next slide. And so with that, then we identify funding availability, we come up with a project schedule, and then we get it into the program. So next slide. And with that, then we go to construction. So sweet, right? All right, next slide. So just, I'm going to go through a few different things lately and some projects that have been completed to show either project successes or kind of an opportunity or a point of inflection where we're identifying something we want to do. So why Mama? We went out, JP, the county team had a great meeting out there with the Waimama Village. And there was a lot of ideas that were identified, and some involved the road, some involved off the road. And so while we were out there, we first noticed that there were some maintenance concerns out there. So we got a maintenance team out there and cleaned it up the best we could. But through that, we also identified improvements we could make in our roadway. So that meeting, you know, which was a county-held meeting, the DOT just participated in. Through that meeting, you know, that was the catalyst for a project to be created. So now we're creating complete streets projects and some safety projects out there to address some of the concerns of the neighborhood. So the safety improvements, we're doing a couple mid-block crossings. We're also going to restripe all the existing crossings and put in some LED lighting to help highlight those crossings. And then the complete streets project is a little more in depth. It's actually a hybrid. A lot of times when we hear urban corridor, complete streets, you know, people think of right sizing, not necessarily capacity. Well, out there, they need capacity. They need it the right way. It needs to be urban capacity, not, you know, rural capacity. So what we're looking at is going in and doing a 4-lane urban typical with some roundabouts and some other treatments. So a lot different feel for out there, but with the development going on in that area and with some of the plans for the neighborhood, it really is the right thing to do. Next slide. So another one, we've been holding these community conversations. You may have heard about them, and we're really just getting started. We had our first in East Tampa, and it was funny. It was we got some interesting reactions from the community because they kept asking us, what is the project? And we kept telling them we don't have a project. And what we just went out with were roll plots of the different roads that the state owned or controlled in their neighborhood. And we had boards of recommendations, treatments, aesthetics, et cetera, that the DOT is willing to do. And we got a lot of really good feedback. And through that, we've developed some corridor teams, individual corridor teams on the roads. Some are business owners, some are residents, et cetera. And the next round of meetings, we're going to engage more city and county staff, which we did have staff there at the meetings, and we appreciate that. But the next round will be a little more intensive because we're getting into the details, of what their concerns are. And what's really interesting in these communities, I don't think it's going to be a surprise to any of you, but it was a surprise to me, was how many things are really quick and easy. How many, can you paint this, or can you do that, or can you replace this light? So a lot of it's really quick and easy. So we're also through these meetings looking to see how we can either implement our own or merge into one of the click and fix technologies that exist. All right, next slide. So a prime example, so Boy Scout in Manhattan, this was a project that came out of the West Shore Alliance through partnership with TPO and the city and ourselves. So there was some safety concerns there. There have been several fatalities. Unfortunately, there was a multiple fatality accident. And so we all agreed we needed to do something. We needed to address the issue that was out there. So DOT performed a safety study and a traffic signal warrant. We worked with the TPO to get this prioritized, and the project was prioritized. And now using state discretionary funds, some TPO funds, and federal safety funds, we were able to program that. And construction on this is anticipated to begin later this year. So, this is just a prime example of a safety project that was identified, working collaboratively through agency. So, next slide. So Bush Boulevard, this corridor, we've had a lot of conversations through the years. To be honest with you, there was a period of time there where no one really knew exactly what we wanted to do out there. I think there were some differing of opinions, and through collaboration with the TPO, once again, city, county staff, FDOT completed a corridor study. There was identification. In fact, Alex Henry, who's here, who works for the City of Tampa now, actually worked on this. There was an identification of some sidewalk gaps, some areas where just simple right-of-way takes. We could close the sidewalk gaps, mid-block crossings, and some lane width reductions that could be done to make the crossing safer. As a lot of you know, obviously we have a school out there with a lot of kids walking to school. Community is predominantly south of the high school. So anyway, and also with that is a reduction of speed limits. So I hear a lot of times people say that we don't reduce speed limits, but we do. So just trying to show you guys some opportunities. And once again, this was a collaborative funding. TA is a MPO controlled federal fund, state transportation block grant, state discretionary funds, from the DOT. So it's a collaborative effort on this one. Next slide. You're going to see a reoccurring theme. I'm not trying to pound it home, I promise. I'm just trying to get through. Morris Bridge, Safety Road, same thing, prioritized through the TPO, working with the City of Temple Terrace, Hillsborough County. Identified some safety improvements we could do out there, including a 6-foot sidewalk and some road widening that was needed, and partly for to have paved shoulders, because there were no paved shoulders out there, and adding an 8-foot wide shared use path for a certain stretch that tied into some existing facilities that were out there. And this was completed October 22. So next slide. Dale Mabry resurfacing and pedestrian improvements. So this is a 3R project that we have, just maintaining the facilities that we have, kind of south of the Selman. And we went out there and did some new signalized mid-block crossings and some hybrid crossings as well down there. So once again, it's a resurfacing project, identified some safety concerns, prioritized through the TPO, and this was actually using some ARPA funds as well, which I know a lot of you are familiar with. So this is anticipated to be constructed this summer. Next slide. So Heights Mobility, there's a lot going on in that area. There's the streetcar, which has been studied and contemplated. HART has studied and contemplated premium bus through there. And so DOT's part of that is we worked with the City of Tampa, HART, and with the TPO. This had been a TPO priority for a while. And we were really looking for ways to mitigate impacts from the interstate projects. And so DOT participated and actually sought a RAISE grant on our own. We won the RAISE grant, and then we supported that with another, as you can see there, $66 million worth of state funds to true that up. And why this is important is we have a lot of conversations in the communities about equity and investment, especially with the interstate. And here we have a project where we're spending we're just short of dollar to dollar what we're spending on the interstate on a state road, but a local road in the neighborhood. to do improvements. There's mid-block crossings, wide sidewalks, and we're setting it up. We are not actually constructing the bus lane, but we're setting up the corridor for a bus lane if Hart chooses to pursue that, which I believe right now they are. Next slide. So this is a project that's near and dear to me. I was the project manager on this project before I changed positions. This was a real big collaboration. There were conversations being had on Big Bend for years before we made this happen. This was a really big partnership with Hillsborough County. Hillsborough went after a RAISE grant and received a RAISE grant. And in those early conversations, at first we were looking at just operational improvements. We weren't looking at a reconstruction. We were looking at some ramp modifications and some simple things. And through conversations with TPO, the county and DOT, we were able to, I call this a Heinz 57. We were able to throw a little bit of every funding type we could find at it to get it programmed. And, now we're reconstructing that interchange. And, the interchange improvements are huge. That community needs the help. If you've driven down there, the traffic is terrible. And the growth just continues to occur on 301 and 41 south of this project. And so we're putting in some free flow ramps, which help anytime that you can get traffic off of the local road onto the interstate quicker without delay. But the bigger thing here is we're reconstructing Old Big Bend Road with this, and we're putting in wide sidewalks and access between the schools and the YMCA and up to the north to the apartment complex where there's not currently bus service connecting that complex to the school. So they'll have a safe crossing. And what we did is we actually punched the sidewalks under the ramps. So they don't have to cross the ramp. They're actually going under the ramp. And then we're also putting in a modern roundabout on Old Big Bend Road that we coordinated with Hillsborough County Schools to make sure the buses would have no problem driving through it. But further just showing that there's an investment. I think we have 33 feet in width of sidewalks total going through there. So this is just a prime example of where an interstate project, an interchange project has the ability to address other concerns as well. So a lot of times when we come up here and we talk about interstate projects, the interstate is the easy evil to attack, but a lot of times interstate projects have a lot of good that come with them. All right, next slide. So with that, it's my safety message, so drive safe. I will say this, and we're really hoping at the end of the year we're going to be able to come back and have a really good presentation on this. So far in District 7, we've seen a significant reduction in fatal accidents. In fact, we're way below state average, or sorry, I guess, I don't know how you want to put that. I guess our percentage is way above state average, and even Florida is higher than the federal highway. So we in District 7 so far this year have seen a 43% reduction in fatal accidents on our roads. And that's compared to, I think, state average is 6%, and I think national average is 3%. So, District 7, we feel really good about what we're doing. We feel really good about the collaborations that we've had with the counties, the cities, and the TPO, and that we've been able to make that happen. And I think the investment in technology is a big part of that. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Very good. Thank you very much, Justin. Commissioners? Commissioner Owen?
Yeah, I don't really have a question. I just wanted to thank you for your leadership. I attended the Waimama cleanup and met those folks, and it really made me look good. I went out there. I didn't physically contribute at all. I just kind of stood around and watched everybody. But your folks were in the ditches. They went over and beyond. So I really just want to tell you how much I appreciate you and the folks that went out there. And also appreciate you guys attending those community events. I know they're not easy.
Yeah.
They're not. I've attended those with you all too, and you take a lot of bullets for things you have no control over. But I think people want to participate in how their community grows. I think that's something that I really want to commend our staff in Hillsborough County and you all as well for your participation. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Councilmember Hurtak.
I want to echo the thanks. It was a great presentation, gave me some ideas of what Tampa is going to be facing in the future, and those are some very exciting projects. Cannot tell you how excited people are going to be for repaving. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Good. Other comments or questions? Very good. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. So we have about 15, maybe 20 minutes left so we can adjourn and have a little bit of break before the next meeting to discuss the role of the policy committee. And I think Beth Alden has some review. And just to refresh everybody, Commissioner Wostel kind of spearheaded this conversation as to what exactly the role and function of this group is. And so we directed Beth to go take a look at what some of our peer MPOs are doing, what some of the options might be, so that we can discuss it again at the full board meeting here later on this morning. So, Beth?
Thank you so much. So our policy committee in our bylaws basically has a very flexible mandate to dig into any topics that the board members would like to investigate further, spend some more time on. We looked at a couple of examples from peer MPOs, including Pinellas, Broward, and Palm Beach. They're all about our size. And they have subcommittees of their boards that are very similar to ours. And there are some examples of agenda topics that they've taken up recently in your agenda packet. It is kind of a smattering of different topics. So it really is, it is up to you all what you'd like to dig into, and it's up to the board what the full board would like to have, a deeper dive on at a policy committee meeting, which doesn't clearly answer any questions. So I also brought forward for your consideration a proposed calendar of agenda topics through October. So my suggestion to you is that next month we don't have a policy committee meeting because next month it would be timely to talk about the proposed merger of this MPO with the Pinellas MPO and the Pasco MPO. A memorandum of understanding was brought forward at the Tri-County meeting at the end of March. And so we need to have some time to discuss that. I think this is probably a discussion that should go to the full board. So, because we also have some regular board business to conduct in May, my suggestion to you is that we cancel the policy committee meeting in May and hold a longer meeting of the full board starting at 9 a.m. Policy committee would not typically meet in June or July. July, we have a recess. June, we have the annual hearing for the Transportation Improvement Program. And so we would then be looking at August as our next regular meeting. And so my recommendation to you is we use that as an opportunity for the members of the board who are involved with interviewing the executive director semifinalists. Convene, meet with the policy committee. There's a lot of overlap with the policy committee, obviously, and make a decision. Since those interviews are going to be conducted virtually, the semifinalist interviews will be conducted virtually, there won't be an opportunity to actually take an action. So discussion and action at the policy committee meeting in August, excuse me. Then in September, would be the time to interview the finalists in person. And so my recommendation on that is that might be another longer board meeting. So maybe we cancel the policy committee meeting in September, have the full board interview your top 2 candidates for the executive director position, and then have time to conduct business. And then my last recommendation to you is for October. We will be well into the technical analysis for the update of the long-range transportation plan at that point, and it would be timely to have some feedback about what financial scenarios you would like to consider during the long-range plan update. And by consider, I mean have your staff, have your consultants look at how to match up what would potential funding sources potentially pay for in terms of like eligible projects and projects that you all see as high priorities. Be able to come back to you with, okay, well, if you want to look at the additional 5-cent local option gas tax, for example, And how much money does that generate? What could you potentially do with those funds? Bring forward some different options to you, and ask you all what you'd like brought to the public as options to get public feedback on. So that's my suggestion for our October policy meeting, that we have that initial conversation about financial scenarios that you want technical analysis on, that you want public feedback on. So my job between now and then would be making sure that we have those resources lined up so that you're getting the information you need, and then you could be making those policy decisions with your next executive director. Any suggestions about that approach for the next few months?
Thank you, Beth. I think we're talking kind of about two related but kind of separate issues at the same time. And one is our future meetings, agendas. But I think the starting point for the discussion was more of what is the real goal and mission specifically of this group. If I understood the initial, and so it's related in that is what we're planning to do over the next few months related to what we think the mission ought to be. But I think the original question was more, what is it that we are existing to do?
Well, it was really about efficiency. At one point, on one of the policy meetings where I thought it was kind of duplicative, I saw just gauging over $2 million a year of annual payroll sitting in the crowd that I thought maybe wasn't a very efficient use of people's time. Not that I don't think that the policy meeting can't do good, I just feel like it's kind of duplicative. The double speaking opportunities, it doesn't make sense. It almost felt like a double TPO meeting at one point, and I felt like that was inefficient. So that's what I want to get to the root of. It felt like a lot of these things could just be, hey, do we want to call a special meeting from the whole TPO board to workshop this one issue? That was really the main goal.
Commissioner?
Well, I think those are great points. So I don't know, Beth, if you wanted to elaborate on that a little bit, on just it does seem like we're having the same discussion. We're probably going to have those today, a lot of the same discussions. So I just would echo those concerns, and I don't know if it's something where we maybe don't meet as much. And then as to the dates and what do we have to take action to cancel a date, or is that just something you can do we'll do on your own, basically, to cancel our next meeting?
You don't have to take an action. You can simply direct me that you would like to make that change to your calendar.
Okay, thanks.
So just a few thoughts on this, and I really don't have any firm position as to precisely and exactly what I think we should do here. This is kind of a good discussion to have. I do see some value in a subcommittee of the full board, whether it's called the policy committee or some type of working group or research group, whatever it is, that has some form of standing membership. That, as it is now, it's voluntary, but we're expecting you because you've volunteered to participate. So some form of stable membership that meets, we can talk about how often that needs to be, but there are times, I think, when there is a time for a subcommittee or a working group to take a deeper dive into something. Like right now, this group has kind of been tasked to work with the county to go through the process of identifying a new executive director. Now, not a whole lot for us to do month to month, but there will be. That's going to ramp up, and that's going to be us who's doing a lot of this work. Beth mentioned the long-range transportation plan. I think there's going to be some work for us to kind of dig deeper on some issues too. But I also agree with Commissioner Wostel in that at times, because I think I've got 2 policy committee meetings more than you do. So it's not like I'm speaking with these years and years of experience here, but I too have been in some of these meetings where I've thought, is this really germane to what we're doing, or is this just, well, we're gotta meet from 8:30 to 10, so we're talking about something here. So I don't know what the solution is. I did look at some of the tasks that you sent to us, which I found to be very helpful, thank you. I do think there's value in this, whether it is renamed, whether it's worth going through a rule change to rename it, I don't know, or whether it's worth saying, we meet bi-monthly instead of monthly, or we meet as needed or task-oriented. Those kinds of things, it's up for the full board to decide, but it's certainly up for us as members of this committee to make a recommendation to the full board. I think that would be appropriate. So I'm pretty open to what the thoughts of the group are.
This afternoon, the commissioners have an LDC workshop. It's a regularly scheduled meeting in the sense that we're all going to get together. It's going to be public, but we're not going to take public comment. We're just going to hear the facts, the details, and then we're going to take that back to one official meeting where the public can then more engage. And I just feel like that's what would be more ideal for this board, or for this committee, to move away from. And we bring in, if we do need to hear some additional facts, then we can bring back that to the main board, and then that's where the public can engage. That's where I feel like a lot of the duplicativeness comes from. Does that help? That I feel like maybe this should be more of a roundtable workshop discussion where people can watch, but then the real engagement is when all of the minds are at one table and they can state their goals and objectives, opinions, objections, or support of something that we discussed in the workshop at that one meeting.
Okay, so reasonable. So in terms of, just for an example, what would this morning's, how would that view of it differ from what we have done here this morning? What would be different?
This morning, unfortunately, I was an hour late, but
Lithium
I
pine
hadn't.
crest, probably.
I did. Yeah. So for this morning's examples, I was trying to watch when I was in the doctor's office lobby, but they had bad cell phone reception, unfortunately. But I think that there was one morning where we received an entire briefing that was basically represented at the following meeting. And that was an example of an hour of wasted time of everyone, even the presenter.
Okay. Well, I think we could probably do better with that, even within the framework of, well, the existing framework. I think we could probably do better than that. That's a good point. Mr. Klug?
Yeah, I would think that this is maybe more of a committee as needed, and there's times that we need to do a deep dive. And I think this morning, for instance, that the TIP discussion, prioritization, that was a good deep dive that we probably won't have later on, this morning. But I think it's also something where other board members could attend as well. New board members can attend, like, what's this TIP about, and what are we supposed to do in the TIP? I think that's a good educational committee for them as well to understand, more in depth about some of these issues we're addressing at the main board meeting. I don't think we should necessarily meet every month, but I think there are months where we can have a deeper dive in some of these issues at the policy committee that we wouldn't normally do at the board meeting. So I would make sure we kept the policy, just the policy committee, but just met as needed when there were some issues. And we have quite a few issues that we probably need to address more in depth than we would at the regular board meeting.
Council members,
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I tend to agree with just about everybody that's sitting at this table. I don't want to compare, but I liken it to the Livable Roadways Committee. Livable Roadways Committee gathers information, discusses that information, and then makes recommendation to this board, to the TPO board. That way it will cut down. what the TPO board has to listen to and have questions already answered for them and presented so that they can deal with those questions and make decisions in that way. So I agree with Mr. Klug. There are some things that we can diet out, so to speak, to fit into our waste size. But I still feel that this board is necessary to give information and opinions to the TPO full board.
Thank you, Councilmember Citro. So we're running short on time. Let me throw this idea out and see if we can get some consensus on this. Remember the timing of this, right? We're involved now in a search for a new executive director. So this body, this subcommittee has work to do for the next few months, period, right? Even if we change something, it's not going to have any meaningful impact until after we get the new executive director seated, because we're going to be busy doing that. Long-range transportation plan is coming. We, I think, have some consensus that we need to take some deeper dives into that. So how's this sound to you? Why don't we propose to the full board that we leave this as it is for now, with the exception of maybe taking a little better look perhaps at these two agendas to make sure that we're trying to reduce redundancy where we can. And if we have nothing to talk about, I don't think that's going to be the case because we run through this. If we had nothing to talk about, we could cancel this meeting, but I don't think that's going to be the case for at least for the next 5 or 6 months. Once we get the new executive director on board, we will then have had 5 or 6 months of trying to do a good job of monitoring these agendas to reduce duplication. We may have already sorted out some of these problems. If not, then it's a good time then maybe to rebrand or restructure or refocus. Does that sound like a reasonable approach? Is that something everybody can live with? Does that meet your objective, Commissioner? Because I know that you were, that's good. Okay.
I was more of just raising a point that maybe we should address it. I'm fine with whatever.
Okay. Does that sound like a reasonable approach to everybody, Beth?
Sure. So for clarification, one of the suggestions that, or points that Commissioner Wastel raised was about public comment. And sometimes there's duplication between the public comments that are raised with the policy committee and the board. Is it this group's preference, if there is not an action to come before the policy committee, that we describe the meeting as a workshop on a particular topic and do not have public comment?
Yeah, I would agree with that, as long as obviously they have an opportunity to come speak at the regular meeting, but absolutely, yeah.
Okay. I don't think that'll apply in August, but it may apply in October. So we can definitely do that. And, you know, I apologize if it seemed like there was duplication between the agendas. We definitely do not duplicate the agendas between the policy committee and the board. I think there was one item, which was what's our process for executive director hiring, and we talked about it here. And I believe our chair wanted to make sure that all of the board members were fully aware of what the process was. And that was why that got represented at the board meeting, but that has not typically been our practice.
Well, and there may continue to be some level of duplication because we may have a more in-depth discussion here, and then we give a briefer kind of overview at the general board meeting. So I don't think we're ever going to completely be disconnected. I hope not, but.
Yeah,
so.
and I do appreciate the deeper dive. I think I get to say I'm new for a full year, right? So, so I agree with Mr. Klug that it's very helpful for new commissioners to take a deeper dive like we did today. So, thank you.
Okay. So before we adjourn, everybody's good. Okay, so we'll adjourn that way. We have about a 7-minute break, so we're good. Thank you very much.